Since last episode of Game of Thrones, the internet's been abuzz with theories concerning Arya Stark and her seeming turning away from the faith of the many-faced god. After all, Jaqen H'ghar did tell her that she wouldn't get another chance if she failed on her second assassination assignment, and the Waif has already been given permission to kill her. However, this is just another test of her initiation, and this is why. Well, Arya came back to the temple with her sword and snuffed out her candle. This is important. To many, it may seem as if Arya is simply facing what she knows must surely come next, and so she returns to the temple because she realizes that the Waif will find her somehow anyway. But surely, she also realizes that she'd have a much better chance on the run than in the Faceless Men's home turf. I mean, Arya's a clever girl. If she runs, she may have to only face the Waif or Jaqen alone, so someone has to stay behind and tend to the suicide water and the towers of face flesh. At the temple, for all she knows, our little wolf girl might be facing Jaqen and Waif at the same time in a closed-in space where both of her attackers have home field advantage. I don't think she's willingly going to make a chance like that unless there's something up her sleeve. And if Arya were truly breaking ties with Jaqen and the Faceless Men, it would also aid the plot pacing of book and series, because she'd already be on a ship to Westeros, and this would greatly move things along. Were Jaqen and Temple and Arya's training not still of significant importance to her story arc, that's probably just exactly what she'd do. If she were on a ship to Westeros, having received all the training she's ever going to get from the Temple, the Waif could attack her en route, and then that way she'd be at Westeros sooner and we'd be getting on with things. Alternatively, a great subplot could be contrived, with Arya always having to be one step away from the Waif on her revenge adventures throughout Westeros. But that's not what we see here. There has to be a literary reason or a practical reason or both as to why Arya does not flee the temple in Braavos when she has the chance. Or at least when she has the best chance. The implications seem to be that she has something left to learn at the temple, or that something that will happen at the temple or in Braavos is important to her overarching character development. This can only be the fact that her second chance was really her second test. Jaqen has put her in a situation where she must choose between authority and her own core beliefs about death and murder. This is also why Jaqen has not yet revealed that he is Syrio Forel. If he did so, Arya would know that her choice not to kill the actor is indeed the correct one. As it stands, she must truly follow her own heart instead of the shrouded words of Jaqen H'ghar and authority, the authority of the temple and the Faceless Men. It's interesting that she has also learned another lesson from her interaction with the actors, which is a certain amount of empathy for her enemies. She has already shed her list to some extent as a part of her training, and so she's learned a valuable lesson. Maybe this is even foreshadowing Arya sparing Cersei's life. Something seems to have clued Arya in on the fact that the Waif would be sent to do the dirty work. Because if I recall correctly, she was formerly in the habit of leaving her candle lit due to fear of an attack by the Waif in the night. If not in the series, then at least in the books. She snuffs the candle out deliberately now, and the Waif is in for a big surprise when she comes for her wolf girl with a quarterstaff. I think that Waif's big mistake, in the eyes of Jaqen, is that she kills for pleasure. This is the Waif's test, and she is about to fail it. At the same time, it's probable that only one student can become a Faceless Man at a time, kind of like the Sith Wars in Star Wars. Each student is presented with an ethical dilemma perfectly suited to their own shortcomings. The Waif's dilemma is this: will she kill for pleasure simply because she's been given permission to? Arya's dilemma is this: Will she kill an innocent person just because her employer told her to do so? Neither one of these shortcomings is acceptable to the many-faced god, or Jaqen H'ghar. But it isn't enough just to pass your ethical test if you want to become a faceless man. It's also necessary to dispose of the rival student who has failed. Jaqen has set up a perfect trial because one of three things has to happen in answer. Arya kills the Cersei actor and is therefore kicked out of the Faceless Men, or added to the Hall of Faces by Jaqen, not the Waif, for being a tool. Or B, Arya learns her lesson but fails her combat trial. The Waif kills her and is therefore expelled from the temple, or added to the hall for being a psychopath. Or C, Arya proves herself worthy in both trials and does not betray her core values and beliefs, and also defeats her rival. Now, what I see is the Waif is a badass. I mean, those battle moves we saw in, I think, episode 5 or 6, where she's fighting Arya, I mean, she is a ninja. But she's still not a faceless man. She's still a trainee to Jaqen. And why is that? Maybe it's because she hasn't been able to realize that it's not good to kill for pleasure. And this is something that will make her unable to graduate from the temple. And Arya will graduate because she'll learn her lesson, and that's a different lesson. The different lesson being that she shouldn't do something for an employer that she knows is wrong. Now, this brings me to the idea that the Waif is a lot older than Arya, and she's a badass, but she still hasn't graduated. Why is this? Probably because she keeps killing the other trainees, but she keeps also failing to learn her lesson about being a psychopath. She's a psychopath and she can't help her. But there can be only one. I have seen some people say that Arya is not in the temple, that she must be hiding somewhere else, but it doesn't look like an inn. It's very reminiscent of her quarters that she had at the temple before. And if she's not there, if she's just some alley somewhere, she's got a lot more to fear than just the Waif. And where'd she get the candle in the bed? She looks like she's got a bed there. I think she's in the quarters, her own quarters at the temple, and is going back to the temple to await her final trial, knowing it for what it is. Well, thank you for tuning in for Fantasy or Prehistory. We'll be talking about all kinds of things fantastic and prehistoric in the weeks to come, from books and movies to games, music, and anything else we can find. So I hope you'll tune in. We'll be talking more about Game of Thrones after next week's episode. We release every Thursday. Subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear from you. Now, there's been some theories since